Hello friends, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Missing Stamps video. Today I have a sneaky peeky to share with you. I've already stamped out my images. I'm not showing you the whole stamp set, so you're going to want to come back to the Missing Stamps YouTube channel or the store and check it out in a couple days because these are going to be released. This is from the Misery Loves Company, and I'm going to pair it up with our Lava Lamp and Sparkles stencils, which are previously released. So let's go ahead and get started on that background. We'll talk a little bit more about the release coming up. I've got the Lava Lamp stencil. I've put that in my makeshift splatter box over the top of a piece of watercolor cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. That first color I used was Saltwater Taffy, then some milled lavender, and now some fossilized amber, and then we're going to go back with some of those colors and just kind of add a little bit more to it. It kind of looks like a hot mess right now, but when I pull this away, I think it's going to be really pretty. And it is. I like it. I love that stencil, actually. And then I'm going to take what's left over on my stencil and just plop that down on a regular piece of white cardstock. Just flip it over. Don't move it around. And then I'll just kind of squish it down with my microfiber cloth, peel it away, and then I have another background for another day. I'll clean up my mess, and then I'm going to heat set this because the next thing I want to do is add some texture to it, and I need to make sure that's nice and dry before I do it. I'll bring in my tonic platform, and then I have some Nuvo Glacier Paste. This is the color Sea Sprite. This stuff is so creamy, and it has this hint of sparkle to it. So I am putting that through my Sparkles stencil using a palette knife, just kind of squishing that through. And this stuff, I have not had any problem with it drying up. It's nice and creamy and wet, and I've had it for quite a while. So I'll peel away my stencil, and then you can see it's ever so subtle, but it is there, and I love that hint of like a light blue that it adds to that background. It's nice and pretty. So there we have it. I'm going to set that off to the side to dry, and now I'll show you my images again. So I went ahead and stamped these out, like I said, because I didn't want to show you the full stamp set. I know, mean, but I stamped this image onto a piece of vellum using some embossing ink, and then I covered it with some silver embossing powder, heat set that, and now what I've done is I'm flipping it over and I'm using my alcohol markers on the back. Because this is a ghost, if you hadn't already guessed that, I wanted her to have some color, but for her to be mostly pretty subtle. So I'm not coloring all of her, and I'm using a lot of grays for her. I am going to use some color for her hair. It's going to be brown. Yep. And then a little bit more of that darker gray. Use that on her shoes, and then even inside of her cloak. But I'm going to stick to very, very subtle. So check her out. She does have color, but she's very subtle. All right, now I'm going to color our toilet. And this is super easy, sticking with that CG1 mostly, and then I'll bring in one more color for the inside of our toilet, but just using a lot of flicking motions. 07.3 for the inside, and then, you guessed it, spoiler alert, there are matching dies to go with these. So there you have it. They're all die cut out. All right, now I'm going to heat set my background because I want to make sure that glacier paste is nice and dry. And then I've got just a piece of white cardstock that measures about 2 inches by 5 1/2 inches. I am, pardon my head, just going to use some mint tape to block off some of that because I want to kind of make a background. It's going to be nice and subtle, but this is some, what color is that? That is our Speckled Egg Distress ink, and I'm blending that on the background. Then I need to hit that with a little bit of heat before I can move on to trying to do the bottom. So then I'll put my tape back over the top. You do have to heat set it because that does stay wet for a little bit. So heat set it, put my tape back down, and then the next color I'm bringing in is some Iced Spruce. And then I'll just kind of blend that on the bottom. This is not the star of the show here. It's obviously our images, so I'm not really worried about full coverage or whether or not it's kind of splotchy. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's just a background. And so I'll peel that tape away, and this will be ready for the next step. So because that's vellum, it will show any adhesive. So instead, I'm just going to use my Xyron sticker maker. There is a little cheat for you. That sticker maker will completely cover the back of our piece of vellum with adhesive, so you don't have to worry about adhesive showing through because it's all adhesive. So even our toilet's a little sticker. We'll stick that down. Then we'll stick down our little ghost like she's coming out of the toilet. Love that. And then now we need to pick up some sentiments. So I've already stamped those out. They say, sorry, you're so miserable. Hope this card lifts your spirits. And Max has come in to do a little bit of quality control. I'm going to cut these sentiments down using my guillotine trimmer, keeping them nice and long, because at this point I don't know where I want to put them. Don't worry, Max helps. And I know he doesn't come in that often, so I am definitely not shooing him away. He's usually off fighting his brother. So I was thinking up high. No, Max is not happy with up high. He's like, Mom, bring it down. So we're going to bring that down. We're going to have the sorry you're so miserable still too high. He's like, Mom, bring it down. So once I've kind of taken the cue from him, I will trim down these sentiments. He likes where that one is. This one's still a little high, though. I don't think he's happy with that. So we'll trim this down, and then we can... crafting with a cat. How many of you can relate? So I'll just give him some kisses, let him stay there for a minute, pet on him, edit the video, and then we'll start gluing our pieces down. Just going to use some liquid glue, kind of use that mat, my glass mat, to line things up. It is hard to see through his head, but I can't shoo him away. I just cannot do it. Thanks for your patience. And then we'll stick down this sentiment. Pardon my head. Yes, I could just move him. I know, but I don't want to. Look at how cute he is. And then we'll stick our next sentiment down. I think he's happy with where those are. He is not objecting. He's good with it. So we're going to trim those off, trim off the excess. And then we'll need to get a card base ready. So I'm going to bring in the card base. Our card base is going to measure 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm going to score that at 4 1/4. Still, he's okay with all this. I'm telling you, he's up on that desk, partially on me and totally on the desk. And then we're going to glue this down. I like how it is. I like how it's actually pretty subtle, especially since our ghost is so subtle. If our background was too vibrant, I think it would take away from our ghost. And then I am going to bring in that ghost one more time for the inside of our card. We're going to stamp it a couple times like she's flying around on the inside. And that's just done with some iced spruce. And that's Distress Oxide, because that stuff stamps way better. And then once I'm done with that, that's actually going to finish off our card for today. So are you excited? Do you want to see what the rest of the stamp set looks like? Well, good. Come back in a few days. There it is. I hope you love it. If you did, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that Missing Stamps has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.